From Champaign, Illinois, this is the Jumping the Rail podcast with your hosts Mark Redmond and Mike Nartolinas.
Jumping the Rail, episode number 9. I am Mark Redmond, and I'm joined as always by my tag team partner, the Pain Train, Mike Nartolinas. How you doing, buddy?
I'm sleepy. I'm gonna be honest. I'm still kind of tired from Monday Night Raw last night. It was like a good bedtime story. It put me right to sleep, and I haven't shaken it off yet.
I'm surprised you actually watched the show.
Bits and pieces.
Now, to be honest with you, I thought it was a better show than usual last night. It had a little bit more to chew on.
Yeah, the bar wasn't set real high though. So
well, true. But there was a couple things in there that we'll get into. It's not on the format, but they had the in-ring is usually pretty good on Raw. It's the creative that usually is where I'm scratching my head on. But they had a really fun promo going on with Edge and The Miz last night, both of them coming back, and seemed like it was kind of Vince's response to what happened this past Wednesday on Dynamite with MJF and Punk. And
yeah, it seems to be. I mean, they kind of referenced both sets of people referenced each other at some point. Right. So
yeah, they didn't do it as much last night as they did on Wednesday, but that is the first thing I wanted to kind of get into is Punk and MJF. It's the feud everybody's been clamoring for since Punk came back in August. And what do you think? Do you think so far it's measuring up, or do you think they have a ways to go?
The promo last week with each other in the ring was fantastic. I thought it was great. I hope they build a little bit more. Curious to see how Wardlow gets involved. I think that's got to happen at some point. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping Punk can work in the ring with MJF. I'd sent you an article earlier today where, Punk's quite a bit older than MJF. Mm-hmm. He might be a step or two behind him. MJF isn't exactly the flashiest in-ring competitor. I think he relies more on personality anyway.
Yeah. So
that's where this feud's going to grow from. It's going to be personality-based. It's going to be a lot of the war of words, if you will, on the mic. So
now, don't let the personality fool you. MJF can get it done in the ring when he wants to, and Punk has shown he might have lost a step or two, but he's still just as solid in the ring as he was.
Yeah, I think so. I think they'll complement each other better than, let's say, Punk and Darby Allin. Darby's style doesn't exactly complement Punk's style well, where I think somebody like MJF will. I think they'd be able to work a more methodical match.
Yeah, I do think, though, that this is going to be a very verbal feud more than anything. But if you ask me, I think they should build the match. We'll give it at least maybe like 6 weeks. Give them that time to really build up the steam on the promos, and save it for I don't know when their next big show is that they've got coming up. I mean, I know they got. I imagine they'll do something for Christmas on Dynamite.
Well, they've got the what is it? The Winter is Coming, or last year Sting showed up.
Right, that's when Omega won the title.
Yeah, so I'm sure they'll do something then. Hopefully not this match. That would be a tremendously terrible idea. I would assume early 2021 is going to be, probably when the match will go down. What I'd like to see happen is I'd like to see MJF get a little more personable. Not personable, a little more personal.
Yeah.
He referenced Punk's UFC career. I wouldn't mind seeing him bring in the two guys that Punk lost to. I really think fans would kind of be like thrown off by that, and I think that's something Punk takes serious. Hopefully he'd play, Cabana maybe. Do you bring Cabana up at some point? What kind of shots is MJF going to take going forward?
Well, I think they got to do something with Cabana. They really dropped the ball with him this past Wednesday. I think they have a match with him and Danielson, which I've seen that match happen in Ring of Honor before, and they gave them a fraction of the time. And I'm not complaining that Danielson won the match. I mean, it's kind of a given. He's going to win. He's going to the world title.
popped his teeth out too. I read.
Yeah, he popped a tooth. But
Cabana.
yeah, but they didn't. It was a little one-sided for my taste. They didn't let Cabana really shine, I don't think. And that's just kind of been his story since he's been with the Dark Order in AEW. That he's just been in the background, and I think he's way too good for that.
I agree, and maybe it was Cornette. It was somebody who had mentioned that they're wasting Colt Cabana in the group. The group is a bunch of goofballs. They Cabana and Silver are being the most wasted. And that maybe Conan, I think, had said that. Again, I'll reference Conan a couple of times here. Silver's got all this personality. They don't know how to use him.
No.
They've got Anna Jay and Ty just kind of hanging out, coming and going as they please.
Yeah, I don't like to use the word eye candy, but that seems like that's what their role is.
That's about it. And, Cabana can outwork a majority of that group. I don't think anybody cares about Alan Angels or 10. Nobody really cares.
Right.
I don't.
No. I don't mind 10. He's a solid mid-card guy. But Alan Angels doesn't do much for me. Silver and Reynolds are a decent tag team. But they're never going to – I don't think they'll ever be tag champs.
No, I think Silver needs to be on his own.
Right.
And I hope that's coming at some point. Then you've got Uno and Grayson.
Right.
Grayson, I know, was one of your favorites.
Oh, yeah.
Uno, I don't mind. I think he needs to hit the gym a little bit more. My arms are bigger than his. He's an awkward body shape. I'm not trying to body shame the man, but
no.
I can't take him seriously when he throws a punch. Kyler, my 9-year-old's arms are about the same size as Evil Uno's, so and probably throws a better punch. But
Andrea just mentioned she thought, what if they put a spin on it and have CM Punk and MJF team up together?
That could happen eventually if Punk turns heel, and that could be a pretty entertaining tag team.
yeah,
but I think that'll be a ways off, though.
Yeah, I think so. With them turning Bryan Danielson heel, implying that he's heel, even though he's saying he's not really turned heel. I mean, I think he's
a heel.
He's a heel. In his mind, he's not. But obviously, I don't think they're going to. You would have too many heels at that point. So I think they're going to ride again. I think they're going to ride the Punk pony until the wheels fall off.
That's graphic.
Scott Roberts says Silver definitely needs a solo run.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh yeah.
During one of your sojourns to the hall, that's something that came up. But with Danielson in the heel thing, and you said it that he thinks he's being a baby face, and Michael Hayes always said, rule one of being a heel is you have to believe what you're doing and saying is the right thing.
Well, and this is kind of a throwback to when he was Daniel Bryan and doing the
Planet's Champion?
The Planet's Champion with the hemp belt, which I'd read an article that was his favorite time in his career at WWE was when he was doing that. And I think this is kind of a throw to that a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, Dwayne does not have any quarter for this. He says MJF needs to stay a heel.
Oh, I don't disagree with that at all.
I don't think MJF would ever even be able to be a face. I don't even see that in his character at all.
They kind of tried it when he was running with Cody when they first started AEW.
And I think even then people thought he was kind of
a
swarmy.
They were waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yep.
They knew he was going to turn on him. By the way, Dwayne, my sympathies. Nia Jax has basically said that she's probably not going to return to wrestling. She's changed her name back to, what was it?
Lena
Fanina or something like that.
Yeah.
But she's pretty much said that she doesn't think she's going to return to wrestling after the releases, which is the next thing on my list. We didn't really get into this in the last episode, Narge, but there was another round of cuts. And I guess I'm trying to think who the big ones. I guess John Morrison be the
John
biggest
Morrison
name?
was a biggie. Who was the other one? There was another one I told you, and I was like, "Oh, I'm surprised they cut this person." Mark, you're gonna
Let me
get the list going here.
I'm gonna find the list here.
While you're doing that, I'm gonna reference back to this heel face talk we just had, and I want to talk about Cody real quick. I don't understand Cody's defiance. The fans absolutely can't stand Cody Rhodes. They hate him.
Yeah.
The man threw his weight belt into the crowd last week, and they threw it back.
Yeah.
So.
And then because he's a fool, he tried to throw it back to the crowd again.
Yes, which was a terrible move. Just, at that point, you take the money's there. Take the money, Cody. Take the money and run. Be the heel that everybody wants you to. He could be the ultimate heel in the company. I really think people would hate him more than MJF. Played right.
Okay, so I have the list in front of me, Narge, with the latest 8 names that got cut last week or so.
Okay.
Drake Maverick, John Morrison, Jackson Riker, Shane Thorne, who you might remember as Slapjack from Retribution,
and then
Outback Jack, whatever.
Outback Slapjack.
Tegan Knox, and then I guess the other big act that got cut was Hit Row. Top Dollar, Ashanti Adonis, and Swerve Scott all got cut.
That was the other one that I thought was a big deal, was the Hit Row crew. You know, once they cut the lady. B-Fab. Who I thought, okay, yeah, which I think you had even said she needed more work. Yeah, she needed to be refined. So.
She'd be awful in the ring.
Yeah.
I'm sure she's a nice girl, but
we got a new listener, Mindy Elam, and she wants to say you had to know John Morrison was leaving when they released Frankie.
Yeah, I agree with that. I kind of saw the writing on the wall when Frankie got cut. And neither one of them have had particularly kind things to say about the company after getting released.
No, they pretty much laid it out there. Her more than him.
Oh, yeah.
She did not hold back. I fully expect to see her back in Impact.
Yeah.
I mean, that was kind of her home for a long time.
Yeah, and now that Johnny Bravo has come back after she had shot him before getting out of Impact last time, I guess the writing's on the wall for her to come back and finish him off, maybe?
It's possible.
But no, she'll land on her feet. If she's not back in Impact, she'll be back in AAA doing the Lucha stuff, because she was a very big deal in Mexico doing the Taya Valkyrie character.
Do you see anybody from this group going to AEW? I think we have this talk all the time because Tony handpicks a couple, and he doesn't seem to think they're too full at the moment.
No.
They are. We're getting to the point. I mean, we're probably past the point of full.
I could see Tegan just because I could see him wanting to beef up their women's division.
Absolutely. Anytime they release a well-rounded female talent from WWE, I think Tony has to take a look there.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
The men's division is just, I mean, there's so many people. There are people you see, like, for instance, this week, they just signed Jay Lethal.
Yeah.
He lost to Sammy Guevara 2 weeks ago, and now he's on AEW Dark this week.
Right.
So you bring over a name like that, and then now he's on the C show or whatever.
And I'm not saying this because I'm a Ring of Honor super fan or anything. He should have won the title in this first match to really get himself over and establish himself for a pretty new audience.
Yeah, but I don't even know if I would have debuted him then with Sammy, because Sammy had such a big win to get the title. He's considered, one of the pillars again. Mm-hmm. One of my favorites. I'm glad to see he's getting the time that he's getting. I think his work rate is just doubled.
Yeah. More proof that Tony listens to us, because that's what you said, like one of our second or third episodes.
Absolutely,
he was the guy you wanted to see more of.
And
Tony
Khan. Mark's got the button.
Yeah,
today.
I got my search for the name, so I don't have my soundboard in front of me. So thankfully, Marco was on the ball there.
Hit Row, do they stay together or do they split up? Swerve Scott was kind of the guy in that group that, is loaded with talent. So
yeah, Swerve, before he came to the WWE, he was MLW's champion for a long time. He'd made the rounds all over the indies. I don't know if he was in GCW. He might have been. That was before I was watching them. IW Mid-South used him a lot, so he'll be fine. Either MLW might bring him back because they're kind of getting back into the TV swing a little bit.
Well, and they're doing this new open door policy. I don't know if you saw that. They announced that that's open to anybody. So would be a great way to reintroduce him.
Yeah, and then and I know we say AEW, he would have great matches with just about anybody in AEW.
Yeah.
His style would fit perfect with a Darby or with Sammy Guevara.
Well, let me throw this out there. Him and Top Dollar against Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus.
Yeah. Would you want to subject them to Luchasaurus, though?
He's lucky he has a decent gimmick and look, because his ring work is shoddy at best.
Yeah.
It's not good.
So we talk about them not bringing in guys to be singles, like bringing singles in, and they're kind of getting wasted. I think they would be well served. Some of these guys have been cut, and I'm going to go back to Keith Lee, bringing back in tag team, because before Keith was in WWE, he was teaming up with Shane Taylor from Ring of Honor, who's, they're going to be looking for work now. Sad on this coming, a week from this coming Saturday will be their last pay-per-view, Final Battle. So after that, they're going to be wide open.
Yeah, and
So-
Taylor's been talking a lot on Twitter lately. He's been laying down the challenges to a lot of folks out there. So
Yeah, and he's a hell of a talent. I don't know
Yeah.
how much you've seen of him.
no, he's actually one of the Ring of Honor guys that I really do enjoy. He had his little group there for a while too, right?
Yeah,
So,
Shane Taylor Promotions. They were six-man tag champs for a while.
Dwayne's curious. Do you guys think Ring of Honor is truly done, or do you think they're going to go through reorganization?
I'm holding out hope that it's just a hiatus just because I love Ring of Honor, but I won't be surprised. From what I've heard, Sinclair has got a lot of debt, so I don't know if they have the infrastructure to keep it going.
I agree. I think it's false hope. They want people to think, but I think they're probably done.
Cashing in their chips?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, they're not circling around.
I'd like to make an impassioned plea to one Conrad Thompson, who I hope is listening. If you ever wanted to have your own wrestling promotion, please buy Ring of Honor and keep it going.
Well, him and Jeff Jarrett were talking.
There's rumors.
Jarrett has made the comment that right now would be a perfect time. You know, his, what was it, Global Force Wrestling didn't work.
No, it kind of took a bubble bath.
But he did make the comment that right now, and we talked about this, you could go out and you could handpick all these guys who are not working and start a promotion right now and easily be ready to go and, you know, fit into that top 3, top 4, top 5 groups in the country.
Yeah. One guy who I don't know if anybody's going to be signing in the near future to compete for their company is one 16-time world champion Ric Flair, who apparently has tried to make a little bit of waves and challenge Sammy Guevara for a match.
Yeah, I read it. Was it Jerusalem or Israel? Somebody over there is willing to pay him $100,000 to wrestle Sammy Guevara.
So they want to see this poor man keel over and.
Well, Rick said he would rather die either in the ring or next to his hot naked wife before.
I was just looking to make sure it was the right wrestler that said that.
Yeah. Ric Flair said he would rather die in the ring or next to his hot naked wife than anywhere else. He said he was not going to die in a hospital bed. So.
Well, and to be fair, that's different from in the 80s when he would rather die in the ring or next to somebody else's hot naked wife.
Yeah. Nature Boy, he said that he is in better shape now than he was on the final Nitro when he wrestled Sting.
He'd have to be.
So, yeah, he was terrible that night wrestling in a T-shirt. I've seen him working out. Do I think he could get through a match with Sammy? I think so. I don't think it's going to be him and Dusty, barn burner. But I think him and Sammy could work something out. I don't want to see it, though. I think it's going to end up like Shawn and Triple H against Kane in the under.
Somebody's going to get hurt.
Yeah, it's just not.
And it could be Sammy trying to carry Rick.
Well, I was thinking about this earlier today. So he said he'd be okay with dying in the ring. Do you think Sammy Guevara would be okay with Ric Flair dying in their match? I'm not sure that Sammy would be okay with that.
Sammy's a young guy. That would probably just royally screw him up in the head if that happened.
And that's what I was thinking. It's more a selfish thing on Rick's part, and I love Ric Flair, but you have to think about your opponent, too.
Right.
It's $100,000 for about 10 minutes of physical work.
Yeah.
And it is, I hate to say these words, especially to all you fans, but they kind of, work together on it, so I'm sure they'd arrange it not to kill the old man.
Well, ideally, but things do happen.
Accidents happen.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
you can have a stroke walking to get your mail in the morning. So that adrenaline dump is my concern. Rick hasn't had that.
Yeah, Rick hasn't taken a bump in, 7-8 years?
Yeah, not a solid bump by any means.
Mike Tyson took some punches recently, and he didn't die.
Well, Mike Tyson's in way better shape than Ric Flair is.
I had no idea there. Hammer wants you guys to know that he would something next to Ric Flair's wife anytime. And then Dwayne says, and Dwayne says Ric Flair needs to ride off into the sunset. His time is done. So I think if Rick rides off into the sunset, Hammer could try to segue his ass after her.
I don't think Hammer can handle Fifi.
No, I don't think so.
Narj, you know Narj, but Marco, you don't know. Rick's wife, Wendy, was his French maid valet in the 90s, Fifi. And back then, she looked like she was too much for Rick.
While Rick was married,
married.
Who knows what was happening? But
not my business. I don't care.
Hammer, Dwayne, no fighting on our chat there.
Oh, do we have a...
I just disagree.
A verbal spat on the chat.
Spat on the chat. There we go. So... we've been talking all this stuff. We haven't talked about what we're doing today, Narj. We got a special guest calling in about 10 minutes.
We do, yeah. Promoter, owner David Cavasos of Zero1 USA Pro Wrestling out of the Mattoon, Illinois area. David's been a staple for Central Illinois Independent Wrestling for the last decade. I'd met him many, many years ago. And to see what that company's grown into from when I first met him, it's pretty awesome. My son asked earlier, he said, "Dad, who's been through there?" And I said, "I'm sure David will tell us on the show. He's had some names come through, not to mention the one he'll have there next Saturday night."
Yeah, I actually went back. I went on to the IWTV app on my television, which is the app that has streaming of just about every indie promotion in the country. And they've got Zero1 on there. And they don't have the latest show up yet from October. But I went back and I watched their War Games show from July, I believe it was. And they had some good stuff on that show. They got some darn good talent. I think Warhorse was in that show.
Yeah.
He was in the War Games match.
Minders said she loves Zero1. I think Minders has got some connections down that Mattoon area, doesn't she? Maybe some friends.
I think that's her area down there. Mm-hmm. So,
but yeah, from what I've seen, I got to admit I haven't seen a whole lot of Zero1. I'd like to rectify that and start going to some of the shows when I can. But from what I've seen so far, I've been very impressed with it.
They were doing some stuff here in Champaign years ago at the Fluid Events Center before it shut down. They were kind of doing that. I wasn't able to get out there as much as I wanted to.
I live 5 minutes away from there, and I never made it to a show.
Yeah.
The best wrestling promo ever was there when we had the midget wrestlers. Boy, was that a good time.
I think a friend of the show of ours, Keith Gibson, I don't know if it was with Zero1 or if it was another company. We'll have to ask David. But Keith Gibson, who we're going to have on in a couple of weeks, he is the podcast host for the Full Count Baseball Podcast. You can check that out on the
Clubhouse Lounge
Radio, which also features Jumping the Rail. But Keith had done a match with that company.
Segueing into that, Keith will be our guest here for our end of year special.
Yeah, it'd be great to have
confirm
Keith
that.
on.
Yeah, we'll just kind of fill you guys in. The next episode, we're kind of going back to basics. We're doing just us chatting. We're no interviews or anything, just kind of the old format. But after that is the 28th, and we will be doing the first ever JTR Year in Review Awards special, where we're going to break down some categories and who we think stood out. And we probably have something special for our one of our categories, have a little fan interaction on.
We're going to create a poll.
Good. We're going to kind of get that all ironed out, but then we'll keep an ear out for that as the weeks come in, and we'll let you know what to do. And then after that, on January 11th, we can confirm we have calling in will be Kevin Gill, who is the play-by-play announcer for Game Changer Wrestling. And this will be about 4 days before their next show in the Chicago area.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. Kevin's basically the voice of GCW. He is he's a one-of-a-kind guy.
Yeah.
I think he's got a lot of stories similar to Alex Colon, only he's got that different perspective. So that's going to be cool.
Yeah, and we'll hear about the upcoming Hammerstein Ballroom show that's coming up.
Yeah.
And see what his take is for GCW. Like you said, it'll be cool to get a different perspective as opposed to the in-ring talent. I guess somebody who's kind of more on the administrative announce side.
On the outside looking in, so.
Yeah.
Hammer said they brought the midget wrestlers to Memphis on Maine at one time, too.
That's possible. The midget
tiny
wrestlers.
Tiny wrestlers.
The tiny folks have been all over town. I don't think they had anything to do with Zero1. Again, that was their...
Right.
They were their own separate deal. But
is tiny folks the technical term?
I'm not sure. I don't take midget wrestling seriously, and I know that's funny. It's kind of funny to say when we're professional wrestling fans, but I don't include midget wrestling.
I think they do it more for a comedy aspect. I think in many ways.
What's the name of the guy from Jackass? Not Wee Man, but the guy that did the bit with Wee Man in the movie where all the midgets with the police and the ambulance.
I have no idea.
There's a little dude. There's like a little deathmatch guy. I can't remember his name.
Oh, is it Pogo or I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So do midget wrestlers use light bulbs instead of light tubes?
If the necessity calls for it, I could see it. That'd make me giggle, but I'd laugh and they'd probably break one over my shins or something.
Stevie Lee, Puppet the Psycho Dwarf. He actually died last year.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, no. That's sad.
Now I feel bad for making fun.
Now you brought it up.
I know. Well, we won't do the 10 bells because it's been a while.
It's been a while.
But
yeah,
all right,
at least a year.
All right, so we got about 5 minutes before we bring David in. What
was the best match you saw? You said you were up late last night.
I watched part of the show. I was just about to bring that up and ask Mark what I thought, what you thought your favorite part of Raw was. I enjoyed the women's angle. I like seeing Liv Morgan get a little rough. I had read a rumor online that they were going to make Becky turn back face because the fans were rejecting it. Last night, I couldn't tell what Liv was doing. I'm like, are you a face? Are you a heel? She was cutting a heel promo with the big-time Beck's Crybaby stuff. So I don't know. I like seeing Liv Morgan get the time.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure what her character is or where she's going with it. So it'd be interesting to see if we get a double turn here.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Excuse me. I think my favorite part of the show last night was probably the interaction with Edge and Miz in their promo.
Yeah, which I missed. You mentioned that,
yeah.
and I'd heard bits and pieces, but I was
it was good stuff. As far as match wise, I mean, I will watch Seth Rollins and Finn Balor every day for a year. They'll always have a good match, and it'll always be something different. And the last night was no exception.
I could do without Seth Rollins in his lavender outfit.
Don't make fun of the drip, man. He's getting it over.
You know what happened to Mr. Drip Drip? He got released.
There's only so much drip that can be had in WWE.
There's only so much drip.
But that was the thing in the Edge promo. He actually said that Miz left his partner high and dry to get fired at one point.
Yeah, I did hear that.
Which got a big reaction.
So, I'd heard today that there were some folks internally at WWE that did not like the shots being taken at the folks that were released. I think it was Meltzer or somebody had mentioned, somebody internally had said they didn't care for it. Who knows? I mean, Liv Morgan did the same thing, though. She said, big time Beck's big contract is the reason her friends aren't there anymore.
Right.
So,
sounds like we got a call.
All right.
Let's check it out. Let's see who we got. Hello, can you hear us? There we go. Let's see. Dave, I think we got you, but you look like you're on mute here, buddy.
There we go.
There he is. Hi, Dave. Can you hear us?
Yep, can hear you just fine now.
Hey, how's it going, man?
I'm doing good.
All right, so we are joined by David Cavasos from Zero1 USA, and thanks for calling in and talking with us, man.
Oh, no problem, dude.
So I guess the first thing I know we got some fans of Zero1, but we might have some listeners that aren't really familiar. Why don't you kind of break down Zero1 USA for the listeners, as far like your history or like what your goals are, that kind of stuff.
Okay. We were established in 2006 in Mattoon, Illinois. We ran a Supreme League of Wrestling at first. We just had our 15th year anniversary. I think we were just a local independent for a little while until we joined the NWA. I think that was probably about 2 years in. And then in 2011, we joined Zero1 Japanese promotion, and we were the part of the Zero1 USA affiliates. So our goal right now is I just want everybody to be seen, get some exposure, and go where they can. I know we've had guys when Evolve was around, we had guys defending our titles on their shows and stuff like that. And then recently we've had a few of our guys on AEW Dark. That started all the way back last November. We had our women's champion against Penelope. I forget her last name. I'm sorry. In AEW Dark.
Ford.
Yeah. It was Reign Victoria versus Penelope Ford. And we had Joey O'Reilly in with a 6-man against the Gun Club, which that actually was the first time that they had tagged together as a trio, the Gun Club had. So Joey O'Reilly was part of the opponents that they wrestled. So, and then recently our heavyweight champion, Camaro Jackson, was on Dark recently. Same thing with Matt Fitchett and Davey Vega that wrestles for us too. Just trying to have some fun and also making sure everybody gets seen and, you know, do some cool stuff while we're at it.
Sounds good. And like I said, I know you go back with Narge a ways. I haven't had a chance to meet you yet, but I just, like I was telling Narge, I watched the War Games show on IWTV yesterday, and just seeing some of these guys for the first time was very, very cool to see. Like, there was a 3-way tag match. It was the Besties in the World and the Premier. And it was I forget the name. It was La Brava and her partner. I forget his name. But they had a real banger for a tag title match.
Yes. We've it's really crazy. Like since the pandemic hit, we were doing like there's a training facility that we farm with, IWAU out of Noble, Illinois. And our first few shows during the pandemic were actually in that facility, and we just did tapings. And then we started, you know, once they let fans come in, we just did like studio audience. And I mean, those are some of the best times that we had. Just whoever showed up that that wanted to get work, you know, and everybody was testing every week to make sure, you know, before they wrestled. It was maybe us and a couple other people running at the time. So, but I mean, we had basically a whole new roster starting there. Just because of how it's a little bit further away than Matt Toon was. So, but that's when we first started using Sky Blue, which she is part of AEW now. She was our women's champion up until recently, and that's why we're having a tournament, is to crown a new women's champion, because she will not be able to make our dates, any upcoming dates, foreseeable dates right now. So, and also, I don't know if you've noticed, like, have you been to our website yet? And noticed that, like, during the pandemic, when we didn't have wrestling, we did like a couple of short movies, and we have a couple TV series too, with the Low Lives, and then with Reign Victoria too.
Okay,
you guys might have to check that out.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, that sounds good, Dave. Again, I just want to say thanks for getting on. Like I told Mark, I know you, but I don't know you real well. I wrestled with New Breed years ago, right around 2006.
Yeah, I think I made your logo for you too.
You might have. Yeah, I think that's right, actually.
Yeah, Pain Train.
Yes, sir. I have forgotten so much over the years. And then, years later, I ended up in my professional life knowing your brother and things like that. So
yeah,
it's weird how life works. I was mentioning earlier, though, Zero1's had quite a few names come through the area. Is there anybody that stands out to you over the years who maybe came through at one point, wasn't a real big name at the time, but it's kind of blown up now?
I mean, we've used JJ Garrett. He's kind of blown up lately. Because we used to run Thursday nights in Champaign. Like, we just like having some fun, guys that can come down, get some ring time. We put on shows. It was $5 to get in at the Fluid Event Center. We had all kinds of people come. Like, it ended up being, just like we throwing together stuff, and then all of a sudden everybody wanted to work it. And we end up having like some of the most unbelievable matches that we've ever had just doing that. Like Stephen Wolf, he just now came back from an injury, but I mean, he was huge with Evolve right before they closed. He was even on the WWE Network special, so that they had for Evolve, 10th anniversary or whatever. I'm just trying to think of who. Kyle O'Reilly, I think, was one of the ones that, I mean, I had him and Davey Richards through the doors a few times, and then all of a sudden he got signed, and then Richards was a heavyweight champion for Ring of Honor, so that was pretty neat. Trying to think, like Sky Blue basically is with AEW now.
Yeah, O'Reilly's the one that I remember seeing. I think a YouTube video or whatnot, and I was like, "How did I miss this show?" And I love his work. And so we did have a question here from somebody, Dwayne. He wants to know if Bear is still a part of Zero1. I think he means Bear St. Pierre. He came into New Breed and that once I was kind of leaving.
He's actually part of the higher up of the ownership bracket. So he's one of my partners. So
awesome. Okay, I was just kind of going.
He's kind of sidelined right now. He was in a motorcycle accident I want to say a year this last October. So he's been he had retired already, then now able to start coming back in May. But then he had another surgery on his leg that was damaged from the motorcycle accident. So he's just been showing up, being able to just, he's been checking out the pre-show matches and stuff, and, like trying to, see who we can use for the shows. If, somebody stands out, we have a process now where, say like 4:30, we have maybe 7 guys that show up, maybe want to see if they can get on the pre-show. So we have them do their matches beforehand. The whole locker room's behind them. It's almost like being in front of a live crowd because it's just so loud and tremendous, and everybody supports each other. So, and then, the best out of that gets the pre-show spot. So, it's a nice process that we have now. So, but yeah, Bear's still part of it. He's hit or miss when he's there. So he doesn't have like an active role right now. We're just, going with the flow. So.
Yeah, that's one of the names I recognize from when I was kind of messing around in the business years ago. I also noticed you have DeCobra. He's still around, and that's a guy I loved watching work back in the day. He started in New Breed with us. He
needs a contract, dude. He's amazing.
He is, and he's only gotten better. I've noticed he's bulked up quite a bit, and he's got the look and everything. So I'm glad to see he's still around.
Yeah, he gets to work Matt Fitchett this weekend, and he just won what was the AAW Heavyweight Championship last weekend in Chicago, Danny Daniels' place. That's where a lot of guys came from. Yeah. So like Seth Rollins came from there, and a few others. So
our favorite Mance Warner, he was the AAW champ there for a while. So we love Mance Warner.
Oh yeah. We had him a few times. I remember one of the last matches he had. He was the cage match against our champion at the time, Shank Barzini. So
who just retired, right? A couple weeks back, I believe. I saw. Yeah.
So, trying to think of anything else. There's just so many people that go in and out. They hit a little bit big somewhere else, and like a lot of guys are hitting GCW now. That's came through our doors. I don't know if you guys watched War Games or Art of War from GCW.
Oh, we were there.
Or yeah, we were too, because we were the one that provided the cage for it. So,
oh wow, I don't know how we didn't run into you. Yeah, we were up there the whole day for Black Label Pro and then Game Changer. So,
Lander though showed out that show too.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have seen him hit anywhere up. Jake Lander.
We saw him in GCW. I just saw him on that War Game show in the 3-way.
Yeah, he was the scramble.
Yeah,
he's the one that hit all the crates. I think when he jumped out or something like that, he got tossed out.
But no, he's damn impressive. So
he's crazy. Yeah. He is crazy. So, but we got guys like Joey O'Reilly, who's made many appearances on WWE. I think Luke Harper was one. Jack Gallagher, he wrestled. Not Luke Harper, I'm sorry. The redheaded guy.
Oh, Rowan.
Or the bald guy with the red beard.
Yeah, Rowan.
Yeah, Eric Rowan. Let's see. And Jonathan Grisham was one of our junior heavyweight championship. He's the one that actually made our championship a world heavyweight championship.
Well, you guys had Jordan Grace down there too, as well, right?
Yeah, we had her down there too. She was in our junior tournament the year before last. So another big person coming out like through our doors and out. I think Billy Starks. She's been everywhere all over the United States now for being only 16 years old. So
David, we got a question for you from Mindy Elam. She writes in. She says, "What has been your favorite match this year?"
Oh my goodness. I don't know. There's so many of them. There's just like War Games is great. This ladder match that we had in Decatur, It was nuts. We have 4 million views on our TikTok video of the like like the 4 second spot that where Landers pushes Jimmy Carrot off a ladder through a bunch of tables. So I don't know if you guys check that out. It's actually on our YouTube page, I think.
Yeah,
Decatur event.
I've seen that one on YouTube.
4 million. That's a nice number.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it just jumped up. It was like 1.1 million recently. And then like probably 5 days ago, within like 2 or 3 days, it jumped up to over 4 million watches.
Now that's on TikTok, you said?
Yeah, that's on our TikTok account.
How does that translate to your YouTube? Do YouTubers also watch it as often, or is TikTok the place?
TikTok's the place because it's clips. You just do like, I think the minutes, the longest you can have, and up to 3 minutes now if you have, like you have so many followers. But I mean, I do like maybe 10, 12 seconds, clips on there. The last one we had was from Decatur, that big jump spot. We have another one where another one that has like 200,000 views that has somebody doing a Canadian destroyer off of basically like a Frankensteiner. So like why somebody's up on somebody's shoulders like a Tower of Doom type thing. So I mean, we've been trying to go across all formats. Just Facebook. We have a great guy that does our write-ups. His name's Chris Cunningham. If you've noticed any of the Facebook posts that we have, he does all of those. I don't know what I'd do without him writing up all these great descriptions. And then he does our press releases too for the newspaper. I mean, I got a great team behind me. So, and great girls and guys that work for me. I mean, it's like been some of the best roster members and locker room that we've had in years since the pandemic started. Everybody's just been grateful for being able to wrestle and just are hungry and just want to do it.
Yeah, having a great team behind you like that's obviously why you've been doing this for, like you said, almost 15 years now. So, primarily you run in the southern Illinois area, Mattoon, south of there. We had a question. You were doing some Champaign shows there for a while. Any thought on bringing it back up here? I think we all kind of feel like the Champaign area is an untapped resource.
It is. I actually yesterday I hit up the city center because I'm looking for a March date because I want to do a War Games up in Champaign. So we usually do it in Decatur. We have a big show in Decatur once a year, but we're going to try to go somewhere else too at the same time. So,
well, let us know how it goes with City Center, and if you need to have anybody reach, let us know. We know a few people over there.
Yeah, that'd be great. I just sent in the regular submission form to have them contact me. So I don't know how well they answer those. It's been a couple days. So if you want to put a good word in for us, that'd be great.
This year they haven't done anything because of COVID still. So I'm sure they're chomping at the bit to fill some slots next year.
Yeah, I definitely could do a couple of slots there. I mean, we had decent turnouts. It just depends on what Thursday we ran in Champaign at the time. Because there's just so much stuff to do there during the week for like students and stuff. Like we'd have a good crowd. About twice a month. Sometimes we only ran one Thursday, but it just depends on when the building allowed us to.
City Center's right off of campus, so.
Is it?
We got a surprise guest.
Starting out in the midget wrestling league, apparently.
So
that's a yeah.
So David, let's get into this coming Saturday. You guys are running at the Burgess Osborne Auditorium in Mattoon, and you've got a special guest. You got Sonny coming in, and
yeah.
What else do you guys have planned for Saturday? Like, what can we expect out of you?
Okay, Saturday we've had this. As you can tell, the premiere is a big part of our core roster. There's 3 of them, and we have the low lives. We have a big main event that all 3 premier members versus the low lives and Jake Lander. We have a bunch of first time matchups. It seems like we were able to score a few of those. We have Victor Analog, former junior heavyweight champion, versus Matt Fitchett, the gunslinger. We have Trish Adora versus Reign Victoria with her her comeback from having a little one. So it's her first match back. Let's see. We have Cobra, and we have, of course, we have Jimmy Carrot, and he's defending this title. We have Con against Saban Gage. He's a guy out of Chicago, real good kid, up and comer. Conley versus Gary J. I don't know if you guys know Gary J or not.
I've seen some of his work, but I don't know him all that well.
He's a great guy. He's a great wrestler. Everybody on our roster, it's a stacked roster. We have so many, we have anywhere from, we usually have no less than 9 matches a show. It's just everybody wants their foot in the door. Everybody wants it. And we have a couple pre-show matches too. There's a little bit of everything for everybody. So, and we have our up and comers, the guys that have been been trained over at IWAU. We have their working country air. It's DC Black, Devontae Knox and Chris O'Brien versus JPP and CMC versus a couple guys that came out of the Elgin Training Center. And they've been training with Team Ambition with Davey Richards.
Okay.
And all them over there. So, in St. Louis. But, yeah, and plus, of course, Sonny's going to be there. That's going to be that's one of the biggest, I guess. What was your guys' fact sheet on that? I was reading.
Well, she not only is she a WWE Hall of Famer, but she was one of the most downloaded women on the internet in the mid-'90s. I think right up there with Cindy Margulies. Pamela
Anderson. Was AOL girl, right?
Yeah, and right now, Sonny's got an OnlyFans account that has got one of the largest subscribers, as far as I know. Her OnlyFans is one of the biggest on the site.
Maybe we need to get her on as a guest one day, too.
Yeah.
It ain't free.
Yeah. She because I think when she first did her OnlyFans, wasn't it like a record-setting thing at the time, like for the month?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure back then, and then she's had some trouble here and there, but she hops right back on to the OnlyFans, and then the subscribers go back up. So hopefully, Sonny, hopefully this is the road to back to good things for her. She's lived a pretty rough life overall. I don't think professional wrestling's given her the most fair shake in the world.
Yeah.
And she really kind of started it for the divas. I think Sonny was kind of the front runner for that era. So,
yeah. I'm trying to think of what else. We have a lot of good stuff coming up. If you guys, we decided this year that we're going to do a few shows where we do double shot weekends. The first one in January will be 22nd, and we've already announced the main event for that will be Camaro Jackson versus Jake Lander in a steel cage match.
Nice.
And then the 23rd is going to be the women's tournament to crown a new champion. So
where will that be?
We signed a few people for that already. It's going to be a pretty good show. We've got a little bit of everybody from around the United States coming in for that.
So,
go ahead.
So I saw when you guys released the news about the women's tournament, and it's called the Josie Tachi Cup. Did I read that right?
Yeah.
What's the significance there? Because I'm not real familiar with the name. Was she a former?
It's a name that we came up with that was synonymous with our Takachi tournament. But it's just for it just basically is the feminine version of it. So, in the Japanese language.
Very nice.
So it's not actually, it's a tournament we actually came up with. So it's not anything like the Takachi tournament is basically we're doing the US version of the Japanese one that they do at 0-1 there.
Okay.
The Josie one that we came up with was one that we came up to crown our first women's champions that we had, and that was Thunder Kitty at the time.
Gotcha.
So
So, do you send talent over to 0-1 in Japan often?
Not so much anymore. John Grisham was the last one that had been over there. We had some people come that were here doing tours, and we pick them up for our shows. It's just a big like stuff with visas and all kinds of stuff like that. So, yeah. But we can when we try to. We've had a few people that's been through there, like Spiral. We had in Champaign at one of the festivals. He had trained in 0-1. Travis Banks had come through our doors. He had been part of 0-1 in Japan. He was from he used to be in NXT UK. Yeah. And then of course Grisham was a mainstay. He was actually the 0-1 Japan junior champion while he was the 0-1 USA World Junior Champion too. And he's the one that made our title a world title by defending it in Japan and a few other places overseas. So, and then our women's title has been defended in Canada. So it's a world title. And then our tag team titles have been defended in Mexico a few different times. So with the Hooligans when they were champions. I don't know if you guys remember those guys. They've been retired for a few years now.
That Devin and Mason Cutter?
Yes.
Okay, I remember.
Amazing.
That. Yeah.
Amazing wrestlers.
They were a lot of fun to watch. Real good.
Good
old school.
They are nuts. They're nuts and they're crazy. It was a good combination. And they did. I know they were one time they worked the Viking War Party. I think it was Jake Parnell and Frank Wyatt versus another tag team from Mexico at NGW out of Mexico. So, and they were all over the place. I think that's on YouTube too.
Okay.
But they've done it a few different places in Mexico. They used to travel all over. And they were probably one of the longest tag champions that we had. So
you booked the Hooligans. Did you also book Neil Diamond Cutter also, or did you just have them as the tag team?
I've had him singly before. So, I don't remember if I had him as a trio at the time. I might have them versus the Vikings at one point when it was Parnell, Rudolph, and Wyatt. So yeah, Parnell's another big guy that blew up coming through our doors too. That's one of the biggest ones that he came in. He ended up defeating Matt Cage. If you remember, Mike, you might remember him.
I do, yeah.
Yeah. He defeated him, and then basically I think he had close to 60 defenses under his belt before he vacated it actually. So, actually, he lost it to Gary J in a last man standing match, which is on YouTube too. I don't know if you guys heard the incident where Gary J sliced open Jake Parnell's face with a turnbuckle.
No, I hadn't heard about that.
No, is that on YouTube?
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, it's on YouTube, and I got pictures of it too. I mean,
might have to share
that's
that
when
on the page.
Yeah, it's on our YouTube page. Yeah, but that blew them up pretty big. Like Gary was already out there and everything, but I mean, everybody started booking Parnell versus Gary J and all the independents. They were fighting everywhere. Corey Pro, Anarchy, BL or Black Label Pro. They even had a match in Evolve for the junior heavyweight championship on the main card. But it was it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool after that. He was just tough. He continued to match after his lip was basically just hanging there.
Yeah.
It got caught in his lip and sliced down, and you could just see his lip hanging there while he finished wrestling. So it was pretty gnarly. And then of course, he's been on TNT, and then he was just recently on Dark again. So, and he's been all over. He's getting ready to go to UK to wrestle over there in, I think, February. So go ahead.
So you talked about having everybody that's passed through. Is there anybody on your short list that you want to bring in to 0-1 in the near future?
We have Davey Richards and Marge coming in. He did a few shows for us back in the day, but now he's back full force strong. And this guy's all over the place. Like, he's like, hey, you got any open dates? And I gave him dates, and he's booked all the way up until I could get him. And I booked him back in October and March. So that tells you how far ahead he's gone.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of who else. We just got such a core roster. It's just we got guys that are just doing great stuff. Like our tag champions defended their titles in Texas and won the championships in there. Whenever they defended our titles, they won another set of tag titles. Camaro's been around a few different promotions to defend his title. That's one thing that I think we do different than a lot of the indie promotions that are like on a smaller scale. Like we have traveling champions. There's a lot of places that want to book our championships and have them defended there. So that we do that quite often. Since the pandemic, it slowed down a lot, but before that it was a big thing. So
with all the releases from the WWE lately, are any of those people attainable to you or desirable to you guys to try and pull in for even one-offs?
Yeah, Alex Zane would be one of them. Anthony Green. Anthony Green actually ran our 0-1 in the Northeast before he got signed for WWE. We had a promotion up there for a little bit too last year. I'm trying to think who else. I don't know anybody right offhand. So,
have you reached out to anybody or anything? Or
Alex Zane, I have, but he was booked for. I wanted to use him I think back in October for our anniversary show, but he was booked in GCW that day because he was in Anarchy the night before, just right around St. Louis. So it'd been a nice skip and a hop and a jump to Matt Toon. So, but he had LA that next day, so he had to fly out pretty late on Friday night. So.
Hey, David.
No, not really. We just keep busy.
We've got another question here, and I already know the answer, but I'll ask you. Friend of the show, Jonathan Mayer here. He wanted to know if referees Justin and Robert King got their start with 0-1, and if so, did they ever do the Hebner Twin Magic gimmick with them? I know that they started with New Breed Wrestling, so
yeah, they started about a month before they worked our first show, and then basically all of the promotional videos that they got for that they sent him for WWE that got Justin hired, they shot at her shows.
Nice.
But no, I see it was kind of weird because like we used Justin more as a manager than a referee because we kind of just gave him the creative freedom because he wanted to do the manager stuff. And I don't know if you like after he got done with WWE, if you noticed how he did a lot of stuff with the Cobra up in Resistance Pro.
Yeah, I did. I saw a lot of that.
Yeah, so I mean, dude, he's just phenomenal. See, like we did shows at one point in Rantoul a couple times a year for these kids, and they literally like hate it. Like Justin would just dance and just like irritate the crap out of these kids where they would throw bottles at him and to Cobra on their way back to the back. It's just crazy how much he can get. So
that was it. Lincoln's Challenge, right?
Yeah, Lincoln's Challenge.
Correct.
Yeah, New Breed ran some shows there back in the day, and yeah, those kids, the cadets, they would get into the show for sure. That was a good crowd right there. So.
Well, they came from backgrounds where they were kind of into this whole
they were into a rowdy.
This was a good way to let them let out some of that aggression.
Oh yeah, and then basically they said you can do anything, cuss, do anything that you want when we're there. So. And we did, you get somebody flick a little bit of water on their set, on the crowd of them, they get all wild and try to come after them, or sometimes they'd even fight each other in the crowd when they get so hyped up with the matches going on and stuff. And then the only thing we couldn't do was nobody was able to, nobody got hurt enough to where they bled because he said that would just set them all off. So
yeah, I broke that rule there actually. I've got a picture. New Breed did a show. It was either our first or second show there, and we did a fans bring the weapons match. Myself and Gavin Alexander, and I still have the scar on my forehead. Actually, I bled all over the place there, and maybe I'm the one that ruined it. But
how did a Glock 9 get in there? Hey, Kyler, our road producer for the only road segment we've ever had, has a question. He wants to know: are there any famous pro wrestlers from the WWE or the GCW that you have promoted?
Seth Rollins used to be one of our tag team championships. So the lineage goes back to him. Our junior heavyweight title has been back as far as Austin Aries, Matt Seidel, which was Evan Bourne in WWE. I mean, we've had Mance Warner through our doors. He was pretty big in GCW.
Here.
Yeah, we love Mance. Have you ever had Danhausen? He's kind of blowing up. I gotta ask.
No, we have not had him. Yeah, he's great dude. I heard so. I've seen him live wrestle whenever we've done gone to Glory Pro to hang out there and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, the guy has his own T-shirts and Hot Topper. You can't beat that. No. I mean, they're not even through anybody. I know Pro Wrestling Tees used to have some kind of contract with him, but I mean, he got these on his own. And they also he had a mask and a T-shirt set where the old school 70s and 80s plastic mask that you used to wear for Halloween. You get that set where it came in a box and had the plastic Superman suit, which would crack because it was so cold when you went trick or treating. I don't know if you guys remember those type of costumes.
I remember very well.
You couldn't even wear it afterwards. Not like nowadays where everything's made of nylon or something. You could wear it for weeks afterwards. My kid was still wearing his Halloween costume for 6 months. But yeah, they had the Danhausen face, the Sting face that they sell.
Yeah,
they had a pack of that. I think it was at Hot Topic too. I thought that was pretty neat.
Nice.
So,
yeah, he's a guy who the injury bug bit. I think at the worst possible time. Once he heals
up,
he's going to get bugged. So.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. We have another question here real quick.
Yeah.
We won't keep you too much longer, but Dwayne wants to know, have you always been a promoter? Have you ever wrestled at any point? I guess what he's asking is what really got you involved with this, David? Have you been a fan your whole life or
I've been it started whenever I had a neighbor. I was friends with I guess I would say his nephew. And he would just get all the pay-per-views, because that's when it was only 4 pay-per-views a year or something like that. And that's something we'd do on that Sunday or whatever when it came on. And I was my favorite guy's The Undertaker. He was phenomenal. And I didn't get to watch since I grew up, in a single mom home. I wasn't able to go watch live wrestling until I was 18. I had a job and I could pay for it myself. And it was at the Champaign, what's that place called? State Farm Center now?
Assembly Hall. Yeah, the Assembly Hall.
Yeah, and the main event was Undertaker versus Bret Hart. And that's the one, I think one of the matches was Mick Foley or Mankind versus Triple H in a street fight, of course, because they always did street fights in the house shows.
I was at that show. They had Rockabilly against Road Dogg just about a month or two before they started teaming them up together. So
yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah,
and Pillman was there, and that was one of Pillman's last appearances in WWE as well.
And I also let's see, I have a biological brother I didn't meet till I was probably in my early 20s, which was Gavin Alexander. So then later on, a few years after I found out he started wrestling, I just showed up at one of the shows that he was at, kind of hobnobbed there. And I started taking promo photos.
I didn't know you and Gavin were related. Yeah, so like I said, Gavin and I, that was the match that I did at Lincoln's Challenge was him. We worked together quite a bit. I always liked working Gavin because he worked snug, and so did I. So,
but so I started taking promo photos and making logos for guys at GAW, and then I crossed over to New Breed and did a few things there with photographs. But then I had a couple guys from GAW that actually lived in Mattoon, and it was like, hey, let's see what we can do about getting a show here. So, I mean, they were with me for maybe like 1 or 2 shows, and they dropped off as like partners. And I basically did it myself for a while until Bear joined in as a partner. So, but I mean, it's been crazy. I can't believe we've been doing it for 15 years. So there'd be nights where just unload after the show till like 2 o'clock in the morning, now to now where I have a swarm, like it's a huge team that helps with everything. I got guys that help me flyer. I got a good design team. I got good production team now. And then so many people show up just for opportunities every show. It's nuts. Sometimes I have 10 people that want to get on the show, and there's no way they can, but they'll stay and help out and, do what they can to be part of the show. So it's just nuts how crazy it is. So
is this a full-time gig for you now?
I basically started off as a photographer, and then decided I wanted to do that in my hometown and went from there. And it's been a pretty awesome ride. So, I've got to see a couple of my friends on AEW. Like, I got to be in the stadium when they did their dark match. I was the only one in the audience. It was kind of nuts because they did it after the show and sent everybody out. So that was in Florida. I mean, I just, Evolve, Gabe and all that kind of stuff. So, it was kind of neat just to be able to meet people. And we were part of a lot of the pre-show stuff when they were doing all the NXT guys coming in to Evolve too. So it was kind of neat to see all that happen for them. And one of our first matches that we had with them was Jake Lander versus Joey O'Reilly. And that's when Mustafa Ali was in the main event. And it was the first time it was a WWE produced show. Like, that's the first time that they actually had the logo at the end of the broadcast. So that was kind of neat to be part of that first show. Yeah. So even if it was pre-show, but I mean, it was all part of it. So it was just pretty neat. So.
Is this your only gig, or is this just part-time for you, or do you do other things?
No,
or is
I
this your gig?
have a couple jobs. I mean, my wife's a nurse, and but I just always been someone that's always doing something. So,
right on.
I mean, it's, I do wrestling. I have a regular job too. I have a second job too that I've worked at since I was a teenager that I just work part-time at. I just try to keep busy. So try to keep busy, and like my youngest.
I was gonna say, I think I heard a little one in the background. That keeps everybody busy.
Yeah. Oh no, that was a TV. I have a 13-year-old and a 22-year-old. So.
Sort of almost kind of past the busy stage with them then.
Yeah, and there for the last couple of years, my youngest, he's been refereeing. Like, he's been trained to be a pro wrestler and refereeing, but he's kind of got off that right now because he's homeschooled. So it's we kind of are adjusting the schedule accordingly. So he hasn't been doing that as much as he was before, but yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. Yeah. How old are your kids again? Don't you have a few young ones?
Yeah, I do. I've got a 9, a 3, and a 2-year-old, so my hands are always full.
Yeah. So,
so tell us, as we wrap here, give us a big sell on the show this weekend, Saturday night in Mattoon, Illinois, right?
Yes.
Give us your big sell pitch for everybody that's listening. The show will actually go on our podcast stream. It's live now on Facebook, but it'll go on our podcast Thursday night or Thursday morning. So people that listen to only the podcast will hear all of this. So sell us on this show Saturday.
It's a must-see show. It's the last show of the year. We got first-time matches. We got a WWE Diva, and we got a returning former women's champion wrestling. We have some new debuts from Trish Adora, which is a pretty huge name on the indie circuit right now. I mean, it's only $20 to get in. All the front rows are sold out. We're getting close to capacity already, which we do about every show. But we do stand room only. I mean, you just got to come out, meet Sonny. It's only $30, or I'm sorry, I don't want to get this wrong. I think it's 20, 20, 30. 20 for a picture, 20 for an autograph, or $30 for a combo, I think is what the price is.
Is that all paid at the site?
Yeah, you can go to the website, www.zero1.com/tickets. For general admission tickets are the only thing available right now. Plus, you can check the site out. www.zero1.com/sunny is where you can get your meet and greet packets at. And Zero1USA.com, just check it out. We have some YouTube content. We have a few shows up, but most of it's on IWTV, and we're kind of backlogged right now. So we'll hopefully in about a month, we'll have probably about 4 more shows added to it. Just the production of that, is on a standstill right now for commentary and stuff like that. It's just backed up.
Yeah.
But I mean, we got web content too. We have short, we have the Low Life show that we did last year. I think it's maybe 12 or 13 episodes long, maybe, anywhere from 7 to 8 minutes. We got the Evil Adventures of Babysitting with Rain Victoria, co-starring Logan Cavasos. Check that out. And then plus we got Shanked, the movie, and Shank 2, Shank Goes to Hell. It's a couple mini movies, short movies that we did with pro wrestling involved in it. Actually we started that about a week before WrestleMania, before the Undertaker and AJ Styles match that they had, the cinematic one.
Right.
So I mean, it was kind of neat that we were just doing I think maybe it was 20 minutes long, or the movies are. You guys should check them out. Let us know how they are.
And these are on the website.
Yeah, these are on the website, but there's links to them. Like up on the top, you'll see all the tabs. It'll say Shanked,
cool,
or it'll say like series, and it'll have all of our series on there. So come out, have some fun. It's always a great crowd. It's loud. You're going to get a full almost 3 hours of wrestling, even longer with the pre-show matches. Definitely get your money's worth, and you get to see maybe some of the future stars that you'll see in AEW later on, even if it's on Dark or they get signed. I mean, we got some young guys up and coming and are hungry, and they're all over the place. So,
right on. So I don't know who else, like, as far as like bringing in for like attractions, like how you got Sunny. Obviously, she's not going to wrestle on the show because she never really wrestled. But I can say if you're looking for more people, I know a certain manager of champions that I think is worth reaching out to. That's a friend of the show, Bill Alfonso. And I know he's talked about maybe coming working some shows in the Midwest coming up. He's been working some shots in Ohio. But
I met him down in CCW. We had a couple wrestlers that we went down there and we did like a tour of Florida and hit up. She had CCW for a couple days that weekend, and then there was Tuesday night we did WWN, and then Wednesday was Dark, and then Thursday was Atlanta. So like he's a pretty big part of CCW, I heard. So he's at all their shows. I noticed. Coastal Championship Wrestling. Correct. Out of Florida. Yep. Mm-hmm. They do like Nashville, Tennessee now and stuff like that. I mean, they don't come up further up, but I mean, there's a possibility of bringing them up. So, I mean, that'd be kind of neat. So.
I just saw him on an AIW show this past Friday, manager Matthew Justice in Ohio. And, he's still over and, just, he hasn't changed much, that's for sure.
And that's his legit voice, too. That's what's funny.
Yes, it is. Great guy, though.
Reminds me of Macho Man.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he's got that same gravel in there.
Yeah.
All right. So. Well, we don't have a whole lot more to get into, Dave. Is there anything else you want to add before we let you go?
No, that should be it. I thank you guys again for having me on here. I probably wasn't as prepared as I should have been, but it's been a little bit busy with this. It's a little busy on during the week, so.
Yeah.
But especially with a show week coming up, so.
Yeah. Well, you got an open door. Anytime you guys got a show coming up or any big news you want to break, just let us know. We'll bring you on, and then also pass it out to your talent if anybody wants to come on get themselves over, we'll be happy to talk with any of them.
All right, sweet. I appreciate that. I'll let them know.
Oh, yeah. Well, thanks for coming on again, David. So for everybody who listening, 01 USA this coming Saturday in Mattoon at the Burgess Osborne Auditorium. What time are your doors for that one, David?
6 p.m. And, matches may start anywhere from 6:30 to 6:45. We got some young and up-and-comers that want to show us what they got. Come and check it out. Have some pizza and stuff like that. So,
all right, sounds good. So yeah, you'll get 3 hours of great wrestling plus Sunny. So it sounds like a hell of a time.
Yep.
All right, David. Thanks a lot for hanging out with us, man. We'll talk to you later.
All right, bye.
All right, for our listeners, we'll be right back. We're going to take a quick break. All righty, we're back. And I guess the first thing we've got coming up today, thank you, David Cavasos, by the way, is Mike and Mark, I think you guys want to talk about a throwback match, Magnum TA versus Tully Blanchard from the Starrcade in 1985.
Yeah, it's Thanksgiving season, and I don't know about you, Narge. When I think Thanksgiving, I think Starrcade.
Yeah, if it's not Starrcade, it's Survivor Series. So
Starrcade was the original, though. That
that's
was
right.
The first big pay-per-view, first big annual pay-per-view.
You're older than I am, so
not by me. Well, yeah. I like to think wiser, but potato. So this match from the '85 Starrcade was, I would say, it could be considered the greatest cage match of all time. It could be considered the greatest I Quit match of all time. We talked about Funk and Flair last episode a little bit, but this also goes down as maybe the greatest Starrcade match of all time, Narge. And this was a hot feud back in the mid '80s. Magnum was red hot, and Tully was probably the most hated heel in probably the territory. So, and we've both watched this match several times over the years. So, I want to get your thoughts on this match.
I mean, two guys who just the potential. There was so much potential. Magnum TA, they were really building to become the biggest babyface in the company at the time. So this seems like the most natural step, right? Tully, and then on to Ric Flair. Brutal match. It's been a while since I've watched it, but I just remember it was brutal for what it was. Again, we joked earlier, it's not a 30-minute match. It's not a 45-minute match. It's a shorter match. But the impact is felt throughout the match. It's worked smart. To do an I Quit match in a cage, very, very cool idea. So it's one that I enjoy. I'm a huge Tully guy. I like Tully, always have. Yeah. One of my favorite people that I've ever met is Tully Blanchard. Just a very cool guy. So,
yeah, Tully was really firing on all cylinders in 1985 as a heel, and this basically came about because Tully had Baby Doll with them back then, and she had a reputation for interfering a lot, so that's why they had the cage. And Tully had beaten Magnum a few months before for the U.S. title with the roll quarters, that old chestnut. And so, yeah, they decided to settle it the good old-fashioned way with the wooden chair in the ring. And I know you remember that wooden stake spot at the end.
Yeah.
But
yeah. I was reading here.
Oh, but I don't know if you realize this. Tully never did say "I quit" in that match. When Magnum was going to town on him with the stake into the cut in the forehead, he was saying yes over and over again. He never said "I quit," which by nature of the rules, he had to say "I quit." So, in my opinion, he never actually lost that match.
So why did they declare him to have lost?
That's got to ask that question of, I guess, Earl Hebner, who's the referee.
We should call him and ask him.
I don't think we can afford him. Oh, baby Earl, number one.
We'll call him collect.
Yeah, that'll work. Hey, Earl, we have 3 jabronis from a podcast. Call and collect. Will you accept the charges?
So do you think people know that, Tully's daughter's stepdad is Magnum TA?
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. Magnum married Tully's ex-wife. Yeah. And they have children together. Tessa calls them both dad. Like, literally, she's very close to both of them.
Yeah, Magnum was at the first, it wasn't AEW, was All In, right?
Yeah.
And then he kind of rode he's got a segue, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's not really big news, but as a lot of people know, Magnum's career was cut short about a year after this match happened from a car accident. And basically he wasn't paralyzed. He can move around with assistance.
Car or motorcycle?
Car.
Motorcycle, wasn't it?
No, it was car.
Was it car? I thought it was
His
motorcycle.
gimmick was the motorcycle. He was always riding around the motorcycle. But he had I think it was a Ferrari or something, and he just took a turn a little too fast, and, rest is history.
Guy buys fast car, guy wrecks fast car, that one.
Mm-hmm. But, yeah, Magnum, that was, like I said, that was about a year after this Starrcade. He was supposed to go on and dethrone Ric Flair at the next Starrcade, 86.
Yeah, and that's what I said. I mean, it was only the natural. I mean, Tully was kind of the gatekeeper at that time before Arn even. Tully was the second in command.
Yeah, Arn was doing the thing with Ole as tag team, but Tully was the guy underneath Flair.
Right. A lot of bad decisions and just circumstances
just a
that
freak
kind of
accident. Magnum likes fast cars, and just came back to haunt him a little bit.
Yep.
Was the Magnum TA some kind of a play on Magnum PI, or is that just
his
totally unrelated?
His real name is Terry Allen, but yeah, it was kind of a Magnum PI reference.
Did he have the big mustache?
Oh, yeah. He had the mustache. He had a mullet, chest hair.
Did he wear Hawaiian shirts?
No. He
wore
leather
so
jackets.
It wasn't a complete ripoff.
No, he wore leather jackets, rode motorcycles, but the mustache made him Magnum TA. He was like the heartthrob to all the lady fans there.
Was he considered the baby face?
He was probably the top baby face, aside from Dusty Rhodes.
Here you go. If that doesn't scream 1984, 85.
I'm looking at that picture and I'm thinking, that screams, I wish I was Hulk Hogan.
He kind of has a Sam Elliott look.
A little bit of that too, yeah.
Roadhouse.
I think
he's a little more of the stash down the sides, but yeah.
I think the hope was that he would be their Hogan before he got hurt. Like he was going to be their uber babyface world champion.
Who's?
The NWA.
Oh, this was done NWA, not WWF.
No, this was the NWA.
Gotcha. See, I have no idea there. Starrcade. Man.
Starrcade is the NWA's flagship pay-per-view show.
Gotcha.
So, Narge, let me ask you this about Magnum, and I'm a fan. I've watched this stuff. I mean, a lot of it was in hindsight because I was 5 years old when he had his accident. But where do you think the NWA would have gone if Magnum hadn't gotten hurt?
So Magnum was a little before my time, so I've seen the highlights. Mm-hmm. You know, obviously they were grooming him. Is he the guy? Does Sting never get the opportunity to become the guy? So that's, you know, that's where I see it. If Magnum doesn't get hurt, Magnum he's up there with Flair. He is the ultimate baby face. He's the Hulk Hogan baby to, you know, Flair's Randy Savage or DB, whatever. Where I don't think Sting gets as much consideration, to be honest.
I wonder if his career would have extended, would he have been one of the cornerstones of WCW if he would have stayed in the ring?
Well, that's what I'm wondering. He's got that kind of that southern look and sound to him that I don't know if Vince would have wanted. And again, like you said, he kind of looks like he's trying too hard to be Hulk Hogan. So I don't even know.
See,
Hulk had brought him over, made him a cowboy. So
I never got the Hogan vibe from him, but yeah, I could see them trying to make him like the biker from the Village People if you went to the WWF.
Yeah,
but.
Or he's Sam Elliott from Roadhouse.
There you go.
They would have changed his name to Elliott Sam.
There you go.
Yep.
But he's one of those big what ifs that everybody talks about in wrestling. David Von Erich is another one.
Yep.
Who, I know you know the Von Erichs who lived in Dallas.
Yes.
But, you know, David died in Japan when he was 25, maybe, mid-20s. And he was supposed to be the guy. He was supposed to be Fritz's world heavyweight champion. He was supposed to be the guy to go with Flair.
Yeah, he was, really, his death is kind of what started the spiral for the Von Erichs.
Oh, yeah.
Because all the brothers felt like they couldn't live up to the...
Right. Kerry tried,
and he was,
Kerry had that motorcycle accident where he lost his foot, and he was never the same after that.
No, yeah. Once you start getting into the drugs and the painkillers.
Right.
And
But he did get a run for about 3 weeks with that world title, though, right after David passed. Which, when that happened, he was, I hate to speak ill of the dead, but he was kind of junked out of his mind most of the time. And
yeah.
Then he got clean enough to go to WWF for a while. Then his demons caught up with him, and then the rest is history. He wound up taking his own life. He was 33, which is tragic.
Yeah, when you look back, as a kid, you see these guys, and you don't put an age to them.
No.
But looking back now, I start reading things, and I'm like, well, he's younger than I was, and it's just hard to believe what could have been. Owen Hart was another one. Owen was kind of mid-card there for a while. Yeah, Pillman. There's so many guys that died way too young.
Yeah.
And who knows what could have happened.
It's a sad truth. That's for sure.
Speaking of the WWF and Texas, jumping forward to the history section, which included this match also.
Right.
You had the This Tuesday in Texas event. It was a discount pay-per-view on the heels of the 91 Survivor Series. The main event was a WWF Championship rematch between Hulk Hogan and then new champion, The Undertaker, who had apparently won the title controversially at the Survivor Series. What do y'all recall about that?
I remember this was not a great pay-per-view. Have you seen this show, Nerj?
Tuesday in Texas?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was them, and then didn't Flair and, or not Flair, Savage and Roberts did their thing.
Savage and Jake had their thing. That was the highlight of the show for me.
Oh, yeah. And which was the opener.
It was, I think, yeah.
Right.
And then Jake slapped Elizabeth.
Yeah.
And it was just heat. He was just white hot.
Now that was not the episode where the snake bite, right?
No, that
was Saturday Night's Main Event or
Superstars.
Okay,
Yeah, that was during the afternoon.
You were 7 during this one, right? 91.
It was, and I remember being disappointed as a kid because this was the first Survivor Series to break away from the traditional team warfare. They had the one-off.
They had, I think, one elimination match.
Yeah, and so I was disappointed because I always enjoyed the teams.
I think that's what they need to go back to Survivor Series. Just do elimination matches again.
Yeah,
lose the title, champion versus champion matches and all that stuff.
No, the warfare with the mixed teams I love. But what I remember as a kid, being 7 years old, being a Hulk Hogan fan, this was the first time. A couple days before he wrestled the Undertaker, I remember thinking he can't beat this guy. He's dead. This guy's dead. He can't. I'm 7. He can't beat him.
Who can't beat who?
Hulk Hogan can't beat the Undertaker.
You thought the Undertaker was that much superior?
Yeah, I was 7. I thought he was dead.
Nice.
Hulk got close, and then that damn Ric Flair came out there with his steel chair, and the winds of change came on, and are you pressing a button?
Got to get some Ric Flair action in there. And the Undertaker has arrived. You got a Hulk in there?
No Hulk.
You better add a Hulk button if you're going to do
brother.
this. You got to add a Hulk.
I don't have a Hulk. I got
use the macho. We'll pretend it's Hulk.
Oh yeah!
Close enough.
But and the Undertaker did win in controversial fashion. Hogan gets the belt back 2 days later. Vince couldn't let Hulk without the belt. But
here's the thing, though. That was also Hogan used the ashes out of the urn into the eyes, and we got the tights because Hogan, huge heel for years.
It wasn't the urn we speak of here a lot, right? Urn.
Oh,
wrestling guy. I'm joking.
No, but no. So
that's Arn. It's
Arn,
not
Urn.
no
shirt. Come on.
You're sorry about that.
I was going to try and go the whole episode.
I shall now drink a bottle of tequila
name.
and go sit in a corner and cry.
But no, they wound up holding up the title after that match on the Tuesday in Texas, and that's when they did the Royal Rumble with Flair.
That's right.
So they decided with 2 ridiculous finishes in a row over the span of 3 days.
Just to get the belt on Flair.
Just to get the belt on Flair, and then to get it on. Well, they were supposed to put it on Hogan, but I don't know what happened there where WrestleMania changed and Hogan got Sid in the main event
instead of Hogan Flair, and that's another what if that
I think the reasoning was that they weren't drawing in the house shows.
Yeah, that's what I had read. I don't know if that would have mattered in the big scheme of things. Looking back, Hogan and Sid was a big old fart. Where Flair and Savage was fantastic. It really was.
That should have been the main event.
That's actually the tattoo I got on my arm is Flair
after the Rumble.
This is after Mania.
Are you sure?
Yep. This is the one where he's in the back. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this isn't the tear in my eye. No. And I'll show it to you.
This is when he's talking about the pictures.
That is Flair going, woo, is
That's
what
right.
that is.
Yep,
he's going,
exactly. Hey, we got a listener or two commenting. Let's go back to Dwayne said that if Magnum hadn't had the accident, he would have been their top star.
Agreed.
Dwayne, are you listening? That's what we said.
He is listening. No, I'm going back to his comment that he made. He made it while we were talking about it. It just showed up here.
But no, Dwayne, you are correct. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Minder says she, too, wishes Survivor Series would go back to the 4-on-4 matches.
Right, yeah. When they were 4-on-4, even 5-on-5, just all the way across the board. Just work your feuds into those matches, and it was great. It was almost perfect.
Those are the ones I go back and watch. I watch 89
to about 96, 97, and then after that, sporadically.
Yeah, but 90 being maybe my favorite. 91 with
90 was okay.
Gooker, the gobbledy thing. You take
gobbledygook.
This literally was his name. It was a turkey.
Picture we put on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, that turkey.
Right on,
picture.
yeah.
That's the gobbledygooker, Hector Guerrero.
Vince McMahon thought it would be a good idea to debut a new character by busting him out of a giant dinosaur-sized egg, and that was also a big fat fart. So
Mark Calloway was terrified it was going to be him. He was going to be the Eggman.
He was going to be the Eggman.
So Vince was much more of a used car salesman type back.
He's always
then.
been kind of a horse trader, but
yeah.
But
some of his promos were really kind of flat, huh?
Some of his ideas. He, Vince has thrown some stuff at the wall that didn't necessarily stick.
I'm going to say this, though. Last night on Raw, him with Austin Theory backstage was gold to me.
I enjoy that. Vince on TV's good stuff when he's the Mr. McMahon character and not the pandering.
Yeah, because he's not on very often anymore.
No, but here lately they've had him the last couple of weeks, and I think maybe he thinks that'll turn the ratings around.
And it may. You never know.
I'd like to see what he's going to do with Theory. Theory's got a good look and can work. So
I see Minder's commented, Sid was terrible.
Yes.
No one's arguing with that.
I'm a huge
damn
Sid,
if he wasn't charismatic, though.
I'm a huge Sid fan. I enjoyed Sid as a kid all the time. Necessarily the best in the ring, no, but did he look like somebody that could beat somebody else's ass? Absolutely. I wouldn't mess with Sid.
He did almost kill Brian Pillman once.
Is that with that
War Games power
Yeah.
bomb? But he didn't account for the roof hanging down too low.
Brought him up and then poof.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna move on, Narge. We're kind of rambling. The November to Remember in '97 happened actually on this day back in '97.
24-year anniversary of this match.
That's right, and this is the one where Douglas won the ECW World Title back from Bam Bam Bigelow in the main event.
His former Triple Threat cohort.
And future. This was like in between Bam Bam's runs in the Triple Threat.
Okay, yeah.
But I commented this when I think you posted this match on our Facebook page, right? Today?
I did, yeah, for another group. So Bam Bam, this was brought around because of Rick Rude, right?
Yeah.
Rude was the guy who...
Rude kind of got in Bam Bam's ear.
I think people ultimately thought Rude was going to be the one to kind of mess with Douglas, and he was messing with him, but he wasn't going to work him.
He wanted to mess with Francine.
Yeah, well, who didn't?
She's 469, you know.
That's right. This was a fantastic match by two guys that I always enjoyed watching. I mean, you said earlier yourself, this is one of your favorite pay-per-views.
This is probably in my top 5 ECW pay-per-views. But on top of this match, which, you know, I'm always a fan of Shane Douglas, this is the show that had the match with Tommy Dreamer and Rob Van Dam when Van Dam took that pile driver and bounced about 4 feet in the air.
Maybe one of the best sell jobs of all time on that. So.
Friend of the show, Bill Alfonso, played a big role in that match with his cookie sheet, and Furnace and LaFon, Stevie Richards all made run-ins on that show. I don't have the whole card in front of me, but
I know Sabu and Sandman did their ladders and chairs match on this as well. Which anytime you can get Sabu and Sandman in the ring, you've got violence. So
drunken violence, because Sandman probably tossed a few back before the show.
Before, during, after.
During the entrance.
He's probably tossing some back right now. So
that's not water in the bottle.
He'd carry a 6-pack in his pants and just be chugging beers on.
Is that what he called it? 6-pack?
He never had a 6-pack. He was the
Sandman
king of
was
the dad
built
bod.
about like us.
He was the king of the extreme dad bod.
Nice little throwback section there. A little bit of everything. I think I like that.
Yeah, and I had Magnum and Tully in the history section, but I'm going to expand that a little bit, Narge, and just talk about Starrcade '85 in general, because that's one where Dusty beat Flair it was a Dusty finish. Like, the crowd thought that Dusty had beaten Flair for the world title, but then the referee had taken a bump and then wound up disqualifying Flair, but they didn't announce it until the next week on TV. So the crowd thought that they had a new world champion. And then when World Championship Wrestling came around on TBS the next week, they said, oh no, Flair's still the champion. And Dusty was still a bridesmaid until about 6 months later. The old Great American Bash.
86, right?
86 in the cage. But that's a feud that just kept on giving, Dusty and Flair.
We have an interesting as hell question from Dwayne. And I don't know who he's referring to, so I'll just read what he wrote, and we'll go from there. It says, Mark, if you were a wrestler, would you be a baby face or a heel?
Oh, I'd be a heel. I'm just a natural heel when it comes to wrestling. I find fault in every baby face, and then I can find logic and justification in anything a heel does.
Narge, how about yourself?
Well, when I was wrestling, I started out as a babyface. I kind of pandered to the crowd a little bit. I kind of stole a lot from the Sandman, who we mentioned. I came out with a beer and drank it and smashed it on my head and had a chair. Eventually, I got into a mafia-like group where I became a heel, and working heel was almost easier. You just come out and you yell at the crowd. You call people stupid idiots, and it works. It was easier. Being a heel was easier. You could get people to hate you more than you could get them to like you.
Right.
That's what I've always heard. It's easier to get people to hate you than it is to win them over.
So I enjoyed that.
So you said you were in a mafia gimmick. Did you change your name to whatever the Italian translation of Pain Train is?
No, I did not.
Paino Treno.
Yeah. No, I shaved my beard off, though, and went, so I turned heel and went baby face. So
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
You rascal.
And I went from a T-shirt and jeans to a spandex top and black dress pants.
I can't.
I'm pretty sure
that.
I've seen something.
Yeah.
A picture or video, and I'm like,
I
haven't slept well since.
It was a good look. I look like the Kool-Aid man. Hey.
Oh, yeah.
So I'd have to be a baby face because I just don't see the allure in having people hate you. That's my problem. I would want people to like me.
That's what I was about to say.
There might be money.
The heels
there.
make the money.
So, well, I don't know.
Unless you're Hulk
the
Hogan,
good
you're not
guys.
going to make a lot of money as a babyface.
Mindy says heels are her favorite. So dance around
Right
and
on.
smile, boys. I think we're up to the part
got-
of the program where
we got some birthdays. So we got a few. We had 2 last time. I got 4 this time.
Well, what's interesting about the first one, I'm gonna do this when you do the rest.
Sure. Yeah.
So on November 29th, the King of Memphis, the King of Professional Wrestling, Jerry the King Lawler's birthday. He is up there. He's one of the few gentlemen I've never met personally, and I was actually texting my wife during the show. Jerry was just announced he'll be at the C2E2 convention in Chicago next weekend with CM Punk, Adam Cole, Matt Cardona, just a whole slew of people. So next Saturday night, I think we're all going to Chicago, right? Why can't we, Mark?
next Saturday night, the 11th.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
I
nothing
wonder
happening,
why.
right?
Nothing at all.
That's what my wife said. No, unfortunately, we have a little family friend Christmas party.
Called an
so.
office Christmas party / family gathering.
Yeah,
going
so
on.
and I'd rather be here, but at some point
Yeah.
I'll meet the king.
Someday.
He's a healthy gentleman these days.
I mean, if
looks
they're
like.
starting at like 11 in the morning, nothing says we can't leave at 8, go and get back.
Narge, I'm going to throw
Don't
this out
tempt me.
there. I think we need to do an on-the-road episode where we just drive to Memphis sometime and track down
Try
the
to
king.
find his house.
Oh, just find his restaurant, the Hall of Fame Bar and Grill.
We've discussed, actually, my wife and I'd love to do it with you, but my wife and I have talked about going to Alabama and Gulf Shores this summer, and Memphis is
Conrad?
on the way, so fight Conrad. And I actually told her that, so we'll go to Memphis, because the last time we were on Beale, it wasn't there.
Right.
He literally built the restaurant like a year later.
I think he has 2 restaurants, two Hall of Fame Bar and Grills in different. One's on Beale Street and one's somewhere else in Memphis.
There might be. I think he hangs on the one on Beale quite a bit.
Yeah.
He announces it all the time, which
Yeah.
would be cool. So
It's too bad that Jimmy Hart doesn't still have his tiki lounge bar in Florida.
I didn't know that was a thing.
But I digress. That would have been cool to find out. So actually, it's kind of funny, Narge, on the exact same day that our revered king of Memphis was born, I think it was in Texas, Dirty Dutch Mantel was brought into the universe.
Dirty Dutch,
You might know
more
him as-
known for his mind than his wrestling acumen.
And his in nature sweater that he always had on. But Dutch was a very hirsute fellow. He looked like Yosemite Sam with back hair.
Yeah,
back
and
in the
he's
day.
had a couple of different names over the years,
Zeb
right?
Coulter most recently. He was Jack Swagger's manager in WWE.
Uncle Zebekiah.
Uncle Zebekiah, yeah, with it wasn't the Godwins, it was the Blue Brothers.
The Blues, yeah, Jacob and Eli.
The Bruise Brothers on other shows. But great mind for the business. He gave Steve Austin his name.
Yeah, he's got a podcast as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
And he's very opinionated.
He
I
has
think
a lot
he's
of
kind of
opinions.
he's taken some from the Jim Cornette school of podcasting, and
I think a few less blue words than Jimmy. But I digress. Also on November 29th, not the same year, obviously, John Bradshaw Layfield has a birthday, yesterday. So
maybe the most notorious backstage bully in WWE history. Old
That's
JBL,
what I've heard.
Yeah.
although I hear he's buddies with the Meanie now.
I read that the other day. Yeah, him and the Meanie had made up, and it was kind of a misunderstanding. And I think Meanie said he took a lot of responsibility for how all that went down.
Right.
So
If anybody hasn't listened yet, Bradshaw has a really good podcast with Gerald Briscoe called Stories with Bradshaw and Briscoe, where they'll have guests on and they just tell road stories, and it's a lot of fun to listen to.
I didn't know that. You want to know why?
Because you don't listen to podcasts.
Well, no, because Bradshaw blocked me on Twitter about 2 years ago.
Is that right?
I'm on his blocked
What
Twitter
did you
account.
do,
You're on his
Michael?
bully Ray list.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was. Called him out on something he had done on TV. A lot of people had jumped on something he had done. No, it was the Mauro Ranallo deal a couple years back where Mauro called him. I kind of jumped onto the crowd and said, hey, Mauro's way better on the mic than you are, buddy, and I got blocked.
Well, to be fair, Bradshaw can cut a better promo, but Morrow was a top-notch announcer.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We miss Morrow around here on TV.
It's unfortunate. We only get him on these random celebrity weirdo boxing things.
Yeah.
He did the Tyson thing.
Morrow has issues. He's got a lot of mental health problems, so good thoughts to Morrow, as always. All right, but moving on, we'll quit trashing on JBL as much as... We're really not popular with Attitude tag teams. I mean, Bully Ray with me, you with Bradshaw.
Yeah.
The other birthday I have is actually today. Happy birthday to Christian Cage from AEW, who is, I forget how old this at, I think 47. But he'll probably spend his birthday on Elevation.
I was just about to say, he's been relegated to darker Elevation now.
Yeah.
From his big arrival to... He's kind of gone the Matt Hardy route of an afterthought, so...
I hate to say almost the Jay Lethal route.
Yeah, very quickly.
Yeah.
Dwayne has interjected that Stone Cold got his name. Steve Austin got his name Stone Cold from his wife. That's what he says.
No, that is true. But Dwayne Dutch gave him the Steve Austin name.
Yeah,
because Steve's real name is, a lot of people know, Steve Williams, and he was on the card with Dr. Death, Steve Williams. So you couldn't have two Steve Williamses on the same show. So then Dutch gave him the name Steve Austin.
Because Austin's in Texas.
Well, yeah.
I think Steve was wrestling in Texas at the time, right?
Yeah,
and
it was the USWA thing, yeah.
It was random, and I've heard this story. And Steve, he said, that's a terrible name.
Because a $6 million man.
Yeah, but it stuck.
Exactly.
It stuck with him. But no, Dwayne, you're half right. Yes, and then his wife, the Stone Cold Tea story.
Lady Blossom.
Yep.
But then when Steve broke his neck, they rebuilt him because they had the technology.
He was bionic.
I'm sorry, that was a bad joke.
He's the bionic redneck.
He's the bionic redneck. All right. So that's a good list for our history and our birthdays.
Let's move on to our Letterman section of the show.
It's my favorite segment of the show, and I know it's all yours. It is Top 10 Tuesday. And that sounds fancy. So today our topic, and we were talking to David about Sunny coming on the show, the 0-1 show on Saturday, and she was a manager of 3 consecutive tag team champions in WWF in the 90s. So that made me think of maybe doing a list of the top 10 tag teams from the Attitude Era, which we kind of teased this a few weeks ago, Narge, when we were talking about our top 10 stars of the Attitude Era. So I figured, why not just go balls out and just do our top 10 tag teams from that time, too. And the Attitude Era, for clarification, in case somebody wants to argue with me, is 97 through 02. So that's my criteria.
By argue, you mean Dwayne, because that's
yeah, Dwayne's the one trying to push my buttons here. But I'll never tire of telling Dwayne he's wrong. So, all right, so we'll start with number 10, and we're going with actually one of the teams that Sonny managed to tag team gold, and that is the Godwins, Henry and Phineas. And during the Attitude Era, that's when they kind of did their heel run after they got away from Hillbilly Jim and got with Uncle Cletus. Was that his name?
Cletus, yeah, I think so.
Dirty White Boy, right?
Tony Anthony. That was their best work.
Yeah.
That was before they did the little mafia gimmick with
Southern
Jarrett.
Justice.
Yeah, I enjoyed the heel Godwins.
Yeah, about time they started whacking people with those damn metal buckets that they carried around instead of dropping slop on them. But yeah, they had a tag team title run in '97 during this period. Had a damn good feud with the Road Warriors, but this time Henry broke his neck and then came back, and they just kept on rolling. Number 9, kind of an unsung tag team in my group here, the team of Jeff Jarrett and Owen Hart. Back in about 1998, early 99, they were tag champs for a good portion of the time. And this was 2 guys that were mainly singles wrestlers, Narge, but man, they gelled as a tag team.
Yeah, no, they right up until Jarrett left for WCW, they were fantastic. Or no, Owen passed away before Jarrett left, right? Yeah. So, but together they were awesome. I don't know why that couldn't have lasted longer. I'm not sure we needed the Blue Blaze. Again, what ifs? A lot of what ifs right there. I know they wanted Jarrett to do the singles thing, right? He did.
Yeah, I think they were priming for another IC run.
Yeah. So.
And I think they wanted to get Deborah over, and it was easier to do with just one guy than 2. Because Deborah was the one that was getting all the attention from the fellas back then.
Oh, puppies. Yeah, Jerry Lawler gave her plenty of attention.
Yeah.
So.
I wish there was a puppies button on my soundboard. I'll have to try to find one of those. Maybe you have to create one.
Puppies barking, is that what you want?
Boobs.
Okay, but what sound do boobs make on your soundboard?
Well, Jerry Lawler.
Jerry Lawler.
Puppies!
He would
Puppies!
shriek.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
And, when I held out the boobs gesture, it was very lopsided. So
Minder says Blue Blazer was a stupid gimmick.
But
Wait a minute. I have one for that.
Okay.
It was a terrible idea. I don't know what they were trying to do, but
They should never brought it back. It was fine in the late 80s.
yeah,
but
it worked there.
in the late 90s, they shouldn't have ever brought it back. Number 8, the Rock and Sock Connection. Mankind and The Rock. They had some just classic television with these two as a tag team.
Pure entertainment, absolutely. Those two, the best odd couple in wrestling, maybe.
Yeah. The This Is Your Life segment, I think, is still the highest rated segment in the history of Monday Night Raw.
Which I think both of them thought was going to be a big old
Fart in church.
Yeah, and it ended up just blowing up. So
yeah. I think
I just want to point out that farts in church blow up also.
Yes. I think 2-time WWF Tag Team Champions. They beat Big Show and Undertaker. And then I want to say they beat maybe the New Age Outlaws. I forget for sure. But they had a couple short runs with the titles, so that's why they're on the list. But they are low because they weren't together all that long. Number 7, you might be disagreeing with me on this for their placement on the list, Narge. I got the Brothers of Destruction, Taker and Kane.
No, I'm okay with this because I feel like they had more powerful single runs during the Attitude Era than the tag team run. So
there was a picture I put on our Facebook page with them and asked were they better as a unit or as opponents, and I think the overwhelming opinion is they were better as opponents.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, I love them as a team. Don't get me wrong, but especially when Taker went Biker Taker. You know.
Oh yeah, no, that was much cooler then instead of the dead man and his brother. But anytime they had matches, whether it was then or even years later when Kane shaved his head and they put Paul Bearer in concrete and all that.
Well, that wasn't Kane. That was Undertaker and the Dudleys.
Well, whoever. I don't know.
I know.
Mark knows everything. I know nothing. I don't know.
So,
I know less.
I appreciate when they came back together to wrestle.
I think this is a good opportunity for a Brown M&M, Narco.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
what would it be?
So to all of those listening, what was your favorite iteration of The Undertaker over the years? And like I said, my favorite was the Biker, the American Badass period from 2000 to 2004.
What else was there?
Well, there was the original Dead Man.
Okay.
Then there was the Ministry. There was the Biker, Big Evil.
Yep.
I guess they're I don't know if they'd be the same because there was Heel Taker, And then there's the Rebirth of the Dead Man in 2004.
And then you got, he's had...
Then Mohawk Taker, and,
Yeah, it's based on looks. For me, it would be the original. I like the black and the gray.
He looked like a cowboy.
I loved it.
Like a Western mortician, I think they said was the description for that. Which
that's what they went for.
Yeah. So, well, they got it. All right. So, moving on here. So, if you have an opinion on that, either put it in the comments or we'll put this out on our Twitter after the show's over. And just jump on, see what you think. Number 6, I've got Too Cool, Scotty Too Hotty, and Grandmaster Sexay, Narge. Which you have to say it that way because it's got the AY at the end.
I'm okay with that. And then they had their lackey, Rikishi, with them every now and then. What did he was a nobody, right?
Yeah, who he ever beat?
No, if that guy had kids, they'd be terrible.
Right. They couldn't get over on their own, that's for sure. But no, Too Cool, former WWF Tag Team Champions. Scott Taylor, great wrestler.
Just asked for his release from WWE, and is going to wrestle his first match in 6 years, I read today.
I saw that, because he'd been a coach at the PC.
Yep, asked for his release. They granted it, and he wants to get back in the ring.
Yeah. Then, of course, you got the late Brian Christopher, who was Grandmaster Sexay. We lost him a couple years ago, Narge, but he was just great Memphis heel in his day.
Oh, yeah. His facial expressions. I always enjoyed Jim Ross kind of nudging Lawler that it was his kid and, shut up. Oh, that was all fun.
I loved it when Lawler and Christopher would be together and they would just both be cackling like hyenas together. And you could not deny that they were related.
But they did.
Oh, yeah. But that's old school. That's Lawler just being the old school territory guy. You know, your kid comes up, give him a different name, let him get over on his own. Which I think is what they're doing with Braun Breaker, by the way, in NXT. I think that might be part of it. But moving on. Number 5, Narge's favorite, JBL and Farouk get the Acolytes at number 5. Several-time WWF Tag Team Champions. They beat Michael Hayes on pay-per-view. And they had a door in the backstage area.
They did. They went from this demonic kind of tag team to these, bouncers, essentially?
Bodyguard, bouncer,
yeah,
body hunter, whatever you want to call them.
They, the two of them just looked like guys you wouldn't mess with.
No.
JBL with one of the best clotheslines in professional wrestling.
And Farouk is just call him sir and walk away.
And move on, yeah.
But they both also had great singles runs. You know, Farouk was, Ron Simmons was a world champion before, and Bradshaw had a great heel run afterwards as a WWE champion.
Yeah, he totally reinvented himself with the JBL gimmick.
Yeah,
so
and it worked so well.
Oh, yeah.
Number 4.
This is where you're going to get the grief.
All right, I've got Team Extreme, the Hardy Boys, Matt and Jeff at number 4. Here's my reasoning, because they won a few titles in the Attitude Era. They didn't have as many as the other 3 that are ahead of them. And they didn't... they had matches with other teams, but they only had notable feuds with the Edge and Christian, the Hardys, maybe TNA here and there. But, I'm not going to deny how over they were. They were hugely popular, but that doesn't... and this is going to get me probably crucified on the internet. That does not constitute a great team to me.
Right. The team you have at number 3 is who I would put at number 1. When I think Attitude Era, that is immediately the team I think of more than anybody else on this list. And
the New Age Outlaws?
1 through 3 are interchangeable to me. It's no spoilers, Marco.
He just said he was moving to number 3, so I'm moving there.
He just mentioned the team at number 3. He wasn't moving on.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. So, Marco got the cat out of the bag. Number 3, I've got the Outlaws. Road Dogg and Billy is our number 3 team.
I thought they epitomized everything about the Attitude Era. The suck it, all of that stuff.
Oh, is that where that came from?
Suck it was essentially
They were
part of that.
Yeah, and I was a big fan of the 5-piece DX from 98.
I was going to say the 5-way.
With
what is that?
Yes.
In China. Yeah, I like that, and people think I'm weird. I like that better than I like the original DX.
No, that was the best. I'll never forget the night after Mania when they brought out, you got to look to your friends, the click, all that. That was awesome. Yeah. I remember
and then the angle in the cage at the end of the show when they all just beat the crap out of Foley and Funk.
Yep. And that's what I was going to say. These guys, what they did with Foley and Funk, the dumpster match at 14, fantastic. That's the match I actually look back, everybody thinks Austin and Michaels. I think of that match before I even think of Kane and Undertaker, which would have been their first kind of go at. But so
I remember when they first started teaming up, and I thought there's no way these guys are going to get over it. It was come on, Rockabilly and Jesse James for a tag team, and I'll be damned if they didn't number 1 get over, or number 2 just be damn good at what they did.
It was, a lot of it was the mic work. I mentioned earlier I got to see them in one of their last singles matches together here in Champaign. As Rockabilly and Road Dogg or whatever he was.
I think the real Double J.
The roadie. So, then they started coming out at the time playing to the crowd, wearing the South Park t-shirts, and it was just fun, and it was like, man, both of these guys are kind of smarmy assholes, is really what it came across as. They fit perfectly into that Degeneration X mold. So these are the guys, in my opinion, that I would put at number 1.
The New Age Outlaws.
That's who I would put at number 1.
All right.
But that's not saying anything's wrong with the list.
How about you guys listening? When you hear the final top 10 here, we're going to post the whole list in a minute on screen. You'll be able to see it also. But we'd like to know if you agree or if you have some shifting to do of your own, because Narge has thrown down the gauntlet and said, I believe the New Age Outlaws are better than the top 2 that have been provided.
So the last 2 I think are pretty much no-brainer. Like, you can figure out who my number 1 and number 2 are. It's just about what order I've got them in. So my number 2 is Devon and Bubba Ray. I got the Dudley Boys, number 2, former I think they won 3 or 4 WWF Tag Team titles after they came over from ECW, where they were 8-time champions. And, man, they just made a huge impact from day one when they got there in 99.
Yeah, I was worried they were going to get watered down when they came over because, like Taz and everybody else. But something about them worked in WWE. Maybe the most successful ECW transfer next to Rob Van Dam.
Maybe, but I'd put Mick Foley on that list.
Foley, but for me, Foley wasn't in ECW long enough. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I've never considered Foley an ECW original because he was
the WCW original.
He was a WCW guy. For me, the Dudleys, the most decorated ECW alum.
Yeah.
Correct.
First ECW talent to be inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Van Dam has joined them since then.
And those are the two that I think that, Tommy it didn't really work out with Tommy.
No. I do think Taz should go in at some point.
Taz, one of my favorite moments was Taz coming out to challenge Angle. I popped because I was a Taz guy back then,
My 2 favorite Taz moments in WWE both involved Angle. One was the Royal Rumble when he debuted, and the other was One Night Stand when he came out during the big brawl in the ring at the end of the show. And he had the jersey on and the towel over his head again. It was just, I giggled. It was awesome.
It's just unfortunate WWE didn't capitalize on that moment at the Rumble as much as they could have.
Yeah.
And I've heard rumors it's because of his height, his attitude.
I heard it was because he was stiff. Like, they didn't like the suplexes dropping.
He was
on his
rough
head.
with Angle right in the match. So.
Yeah. All right, so that brings us to our number 1. Marco, do you have a drum roll or something?
No, I do not, but I
That's
will have
good, 'cause
one
I
next
think I
time.
do.
You might.
Rim shot. That won't work. Here we go.
You got a defective
I got a dud.
button.
So our number one tag team from the Attitude Era, 7-time WWF Tag Team Champions. They totally reeked of awesomeness, and they are Canada's favorite sons, Edge and Christian, at number 1.
3-second pose, right?
5.
5-second pose. I was shorting them too.
Don't shortchange the audience, buddy. You got a 5-second pose.
They were awesome. They really were. Not one of my favorites, but
I know you never were a big Christian or Edge guy.
No.
But here's the thing, though. On top of how good they were as a tag team back then, look at what they did afterwards as individuals. Like from 01 and beyond, they were very rarely seen without gold. And
yeah, easily. Out of everybody on this list, Jarrett and Owen separately did great things. Rock and Mick, obviously. Taker and Kane. But Edge and Christian were maybe the most cohesive team to split apart and go singles.
I would put the Hardys on the list, too, though. Matt and Jeff had very successful singles runs.
They did. Could have been much better.
For Matt.
Matt, I don't know. It just he didn't have the personality back then that he does now, or that he found eventually with the
broken gimmick.
The broken gimmick. So
I liked Matt better than Jeff myself. I thought Matt was a better worker. I thought he was a better promo. Jeff was very colorful. He had the charisma that the fans just kind of ate up. He did the really flashy high spots.
And I was a Jeff guy because of the high spots. Yeah. It was like, what tall thing is he going to fall off of and almost break his leg this week? So
yeah, there's a reason why he kind of hit the narcotics a little bit. I think probably had a lot of pain to deal with.
Well, what's crazy is he moves better than Matt, though. And Matt, I think a lot of that has to do with Matt and the leg drop and some of the moves that he chose to do over the years. So not a bad list at all. No, and I agree. I'd love to hear what everybody else thinks. Again, for me, when I think Attitude Era, I just think the Outlaws, the Dudleys, Hardys, Edge, they're all right there because they were synonymous with that stuff. You don't think tables, ladders, and chairs without thinking of those three guys. Right. So,
and if we were going to go Ruthless Aggression Era, it'd be a very different list.
Oh yeah.
And what point in time is that era?
Started in 02, went to about probably 07.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you don't know much about Ruthless Aggression Era, WWE Network just brought out Season 2, where they're kind of looking back on the history of that. I just finished the episode on Hollywood Rock. It was pretty good. It was kind of Rock's transition away from pro wrestling to Hollywood.
Right.
So that was fun.
I think they just put out an episode going into the women, talking about Finley working with the girls and how they evolved from just being bra and panties matches to actually being able to go in the ring.
Yeah, I believe it.
See that.
That was kind of I'm getting off track here because you said bra and panties matches. And I started thinking of Sunny and Sable and distracted.
And I'm gonna throw an honorable mention on the top 10 that didn't get on. TNA, Test and Albert.
That was on the I was reading, and that's a team that
they didn't have the title runs, so they didn't get on there. But that's the team that brought us Trish Stratus.
Yes, there were so many you could have put. I mean, the Headbangers were around.
Yeah, there was
the DOA. They were there early on.
Yeah. Bulldog and Owen, I guess I could have put on there.
Bulldog and Owen, they were kind of early on, too. Somebody mentioned Shawn Michaels and Triple H. I mean, they
never really teamed up, though, did they, in the Attitude Era?
Well, didn't they have all the belts at one point? European, World, and the Tag, right?
Just the World and the European. They were never tag champs.
They
didn't win the tag titles till, 2009.
Okay.
But, I never thought of DX as a tag team necessarily back in 97. I thought they were just more of a faction, But yeah, so that's our top 10. You can see it's on the screen here. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Tell me I'm wrong. I dare you. And
I do all the time.
He really does.
Let me see here. So we had a couple of things coming in from the listeners. Number one, Minder said, "Did you see the No Mercy ladder match between Christian and Edge?"
I did. It was fantastic. I would almost put that match over the No Mercy ladder match between Edge and Christian and the Hardys from '99. But those two fellows know how to work with a ladder.
And Dwayne wants you to know, he says he would flip-flop the New Age Outlaws and Dudley Boys, but then he says, wait, Hardy Boys and New Age. So he's actually going to demote your guys.
So he'd have the Outlaws at number 4 in Arge instead of number 1.
And the Hardy Boys at 3.
Well,
I guess he's off the Christmas list, isn't he?
Dwayne's out.
No whistle for Dwayne.
Whistle.
So the Mick Foley name was brought up earlier, and something crossed my TV watching this last week. I didn't know if either you'd seen it or anybody else listening, but it's called I Am Santa Claus. It's a documentary from 2014 where they follow 5 real bearded professional Santas, old dudes with white beards. But apparently Mick Foley decided he was going to try on the red suit and got his head, everything bleached and all that. Have you seen it?
Yeah, Foley's an official Santa. I'm pretty sure. Like they've initiated
that was what the whole
him
thing
into
was.
the group.
Yeah,
man, that's the dream for him because anybody that knows anything about Mick Foley, he's a big time Christmas nut.
If it's not Christmas, it's or theme parks. So those are his.
Or Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
I just want to point out that, believe it or not, in the documentary, some of the stars are Mick Foley, Russell Spice, Jim Stevenson, Bob Girardi, and Santa Claus. So he is
the real guy.
Wow.
They got the real guy.
They found the real guy. Look out. All right.
So,
a couple of changes for the next episode.
We got a couple programming notes here. We kind of went into what we got coming up as far as content. We're doing just back to the regular format next episode. Then we got a couple more guests coming. Hopefully we have some more guests we can announce in the next couple weeks or so. But we do have an announcement. We are making a change to our time. So starting our next episode on the
2 weeks from today.
2 weeks from today. We are going to actually be running starting at 6 o'clock Central Time instead of 7. We're going to try and hammer this thing out an hour early and go hopefully from 6 to 8.
Yeah, maybe catch you guys a little bit closer to dinner time where you can sit and listen while you're eating your mac and cheese or whatever it is you're eating.
Yeah. And but yeah, we're going to try and get you at the dinner hour, and there's nothing better for dinner than talking wrestling. And so we got that. We got, like I said, we got our awards categories we're going to be releasing, and we'll try to figure out a way to get you guys interactive with that.
Stay tuned to the Facebook wall. We'll put up a couple of polls asking you some questions, and I think if I can get the poll thing to work right, we'll give you a starter list of a couple things, and you can choose from them, and then maybe add to it. But we do want to hear what you guys think.
And I will announce on on December 28th, we will have an in-studio guest. We've got our buddy Keith Gibson going to be joining us from the Full Count Podcast and Clubhouse Lounge Radio, and he's going to help us out with our awards and he talked to us about Clubhouse Lounge Radio, which we are very proud to be a part of starting in January.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Keith is a longtime podcaster, friend of the show,
big help,
huge wrestling fan. Yeah, and has been a tremendous help from day one on this. Keith has always been available for us to answer any questions we may have had. Some of the technology we use is a suggestion that Keith has thrown our way. So we look forward to having him on, and I think this will be the first of many times that we get Keith on.
He's also extremely personable.
Yes.
Listening to him talk is very, lack of a better word, comforting. He just has a good way of speaking when he does this.
He's like a big old teddy bear.
Yeah. And one last thing before we get going, we are like I said, we're looking at getting some fairly big name guests coming up in the near future. But for that to happen, we are going to be looking for some more sponsorship opportunities for anybody that wants to kind of help us out, help us pay the bills a little bit. If you're interested, hit us up on our email, which is jumpingtherailpod@gmail.com. Or, just hit us up on the Twitter machine or on Facebook, and hopefully we can get a little business done.
With Christmas coming, we also want to point out that at least 2/3 of us, we like the Rocks tequila, and he just announced an añejo that's out for Christmas time. So just in case you're bored and need to spend money you don't have.
Yeah, any friends of the show want to gift us out, we
Right.
could sample it right here on the air and give a tequila review and kind of shake things up.
Then we'll tweet it to The Rock and maybe make friends with him.
That's right. Yeah. I'm sure he doesn't have shit going on. He'd come on the show, I'm sure.
Yeah,
All right.
let me when we get done here, I'll make a quick call. I'll talk to his person.
You know what? I've honestly thought about tweeting The Rock, just because what the hell? Why not?
Well, I think to get a hold of him, you have to call Kevin Hart. I think that's his assistant.
Yes, Kevin Hart is his.
You need a little heart to get to the Big Johnson, right? So I think on that note, we're gonna get out of here. We hope you guys had a fantastic Thanksgiving this past week, and until 2 weeks at 6:00. I am Mark. We got Narge. We got Marco, and we'll see you guys later.